In this lesson, we're going to be talking about reasons for corporate investigations. Now, there are a lot of different reasons for doing a corporate investigation, and many of them may go without saying, but I'm going to go through a few examples here of places where you may do a corporate investigation. Now, it's possible that some of these corporate investigations may lead to legal prosecution, in which case, as mentioned in other lessons, you need to be very careful about how you're gathering the data to make sure that you don't compromise a possible legal prosecution or a legal case. So here's an example of the 2016 Rio Olympic Committee fired employees for stealing data from London. So what happened was these workers for the Rio 2016 committee downloaded a bunch of data without permission from computers at the London Olympic Games. Now, whether that's illegal or not would probably require some additional knowledge about the laws in Brazil and London, but certainly what happened here was more of a corporate investigation and a corporate response. These employees were fired from their jobs once this was found out. So this here appears to be primarily a corporate investigation and a corporate response to this particular action. Now, again, since it was an international thing and you're going from one country to another and you're grabbing data without permission, it's entirely possible that the law was broken as well, but there may have been reasons why a legal case was not pursued in this particular instance. There's another case here where certainly there were legal implications, but it probably started out as a corporate investigation. So we've got a man here who allegedly wired about $19 million from corporate accounts to his personal account. And of course, that involves computers that would require somebody to do an investigation at some point to determine what actually happened, and you would need to do some forensic analysis of the evidence that was in question. And again, this one certainly went to a legal position, but it would have probably started as a corporate investigation from somebody who noticed something was going on and likely very quickly brought in legal authorities. But certainly there would have been an initial investigation within Citigroup. Now, all you have to do really is Google a handful of phrases, and you'll see all sorts of cases showing up in the news where employees have been disciplined in one manner or another. Most of the time, you're only going to see the legal cases, but you'll certainly see a lot of discussion around activities of employees that could cause problems for the employer. One of the big ones, and it's a pretty common case when you talk to people who think about corporate investigations and forensics, is this idea of looking at porn while at work. Now, why is that such a big deal? Because, of course, looking at porn is legal. Well, the problem is that typically looking at porn violates most acceptable use policies or corporate policies of standards of behavior. The reason for that is because the company is protecting itself from the liability in a case where somebody gets offended by what's going on and could charge sexual harassment. So there are pretty strict policies around these sorts of activities, and when these cases do come up, since it's not illegal, primarily they would be corporate investigations where somebody would determine whether this behavior was being engaged in, and if it was, the employee would be terminated just because, again, you're violating policy, and more specifically, it protects the company from liability in the case of potential harassment lawsuits by other employees. So again, you'll see a lot of discussion around how to handle this activity. and you'll see this is a website for human resource management. And here's the question: employees are searching internet porn sites while at work. What action should we take? The very first sentence says that using the company's internet access to view pornography may create a legal liability. So we've got a case where a company may be liable if you or some employee is engaged in the activity of viewing pornography. Most companies take this pretty seriously. If there's any question at all, they're going to trigger an investigation if they find evidence of pornographic use or pornographic viewing on a computer. That employee will probably be terminated in order to protect the company from the liability outlined here. Again, you could certainly Google various types of activities and see whether there's discussion, particularly in a human resource context, around how you handle those sorts of activities that employees may be engaged in.